Talking a lot about the developing situation in Iran and throughout the Middle East, where Iran is carrying out certain levels of counterattacks. They're, of course, not making as far as the United States, but just know that that would be their intention if they could, which is all the more reason why Trump wanted to prevent them from having nuclear weapons. But what's unknown now is what comes next. Will the people be able to take over? And this is going to be very tough. We're seeing a huge, widespread outpouring of support, both within Iran and abroad. I'll tell you, driving around Los Angeles over the weekend, the institutional left, the AstroTurf left, wasn't able to spin up any of the protests the same way they have been with the anti-ICE raids that we've seen. But what we did see was just a huge outpouring of pro-Iranian support, just people supporting the people of Iran and people who are happy that they could potentially be liberated, which is a net positive. Again, President Trump is America First president. Politically speaking, needs to keep the focus on what is best for Americans. So he's going to have to make that case to the public, I think, going forward, why this is so important for Americans, which can be easier said than done, particularly with the media is rooting against him. But a lot of people, particularly the vast Persian communities around where I live, they're very, very happy about what's going on. But you go online and you see a different picture. You see a president who had branded himself as the peacetime president continue to attack other countries. We see that there's no guarantee that American boots won't be on the ground in Iran. And we have no concept of what's going to come next. And there's a lot of possible scenarios, but Trump himself said that a lot of the people who were perhaps next in line got taken out in the attack. He's touting that as an even broader victory, which might be true. But it's really interesting to see what's going to happen with the Iran Revolutionary Guard Corps, because if they are still loyal to the murderous, genocidal Ayatollahs, then even if they knock out the top generals, the top leaders, they're still going to want to engage in the death cult-like behavior that we've seen from that faction in Iran, which has been the faction in power for so long. So there are a lot of people in Iran with, I think, a Western sensibility that would yearn for freedom, that would yearn for legal due process, would yearn for a free press, not have political prisoners. But the people who've been in charge have been incredibly ruthless. And to the suggestion that it's a guarantee that won't just be what replaces it is we're putting the cart before the horse here. Especially when we know, and this is crystal, Trump understands this, that there's no appetite for Americans going in and starting to try to build a democracy. That said, I do think it is a pretty hilarious dunk on the warmonger class of yesteryear, the type of people who wanted us to go and export democracy around the world. This probably gives Iran the best shot as it's had in forever because of this, because of Trump's actions. In 47 years, we've not had this opportunity in Iran for the Iranian people, and I root for them. I really do. But it is essential that the military allows for them to do it, which they might not. So what'll be interesting to see is who stands in the breach. And one thing I know about President Trump is that he does believe that individual leaders make a big difference. It's not just about ideology. So even if we have someone who comes in with a similar ideology to the Ayatollahs, whatever is next, if that person or people is not as compelling of a leader and is not as steadfast in standing against the United States and our allies, then they might not be as effective. So this is one thing that he has been tracking, I think, since the death of Soleimani, that Iran's military has gotten so much weaker because he did seem to be irreplaceable. I think he was a unique leader, not just someone who was hyper-aggressive, but someone who was inspiring to people who worked beneath him. And his death, I think, has not been something that Iran was able to fully recover from. So that could be the situation here, and that's a best-case scenario for us. But I'll tell you, the notable opposition to the Ayatollahs at the moment is not clear. It's not coherent. There's no charismatic leader. I think it's very far-fetched to see the Shah come back. So what's going to happen next, I don't know, but hopefully it will be better. I'm optimistic it will be better, but it's certainly not something that we know for sure.